Hi everyone and welcome along. Now before I tell you what we're painting today, you need to know that spaces are filling up for our Portugal watercolour retreat in October. So if you would love to join me on that, then get all your information in the episode notes below. Now, what are we painting today? Well, seasonal flowers are my favourites, so it is time to do a gorgeous sweet pea watercolour wreath. So grab your paints and let's get started. This is a really nice opportunity actually to show you some of the specialist brushes that I use that are also available in my shop. But to start off, we've got an A5 piece of watercolour paper, my regular cold press paper that I also sell in the shop. Gosh, that's a lot of talking about products first thing. I do beg your pardon, but you know, I like to answer these questions before they've even been asked. So we've begun with a circle drawn on the watercolour paper in pencil, nice and light. You could do it with a compass, you could draw around something, but essentially you want to make sure you've got a bit of room on the page so that you can paint a lovely sort of wild and loose sweet pea wreath. Now, whatever size brushes you need for painting, it's always wise to have a sort of size 6 or size 8 pointed round in your kit just to get your colours nicely woken up and mixed. So I've got Imperial Purple here, and I've also got, let's see, I'm going to get some Permanent Rose as well. The sweet peas that I have in my garden at the moment are these colours, but we all know that sweet peas come in lots of wonderful different tones, so please apply this tutorial to whatever colours you like. So I've woken those up and I'm going to show you, this is my set of, this is a filbert brush. There's a slightly like a tongue shape, and then these are one stroke brushes with the flat heads. These come as a little bloom brush set in my shop, but I love them as a 3 because they're just a really fantastic trio. So I'm going to show you how I use them to create the sweet pea petals. So firstly, really important that you get your brush nice and wet in the water, but then I'm just sort of getting the excess off. You just need it wet in the sense that it allows the paint to sort of run off it like a felt tip pen, really. That's what I would say. And I'm just going to get a nice coverage on the bristles of this diluted Imperial Purple. It's a Daniel Smith watercolour paint, this one. It's quite new in my palette and I really love it. So I'm going to use this circle as my guide, but sweet peas are notably a sort of, well, they're wild and free-ranging and lots of lovely curly tendrils, so we're going to keep that in mind when we paint our wreath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be sort of going around, and I want to sort of build the wreath up with the flowers and with the stems sort of all the way as I go. So I will be mixing up some greens in a minute too. But to start off with, I'm going to use the petals. I'm going to sort of create them by squishing down the brush, dropping in a little bit of pink. Let's try that again. So you get a beautifully natural curved point, and I'm just twisting the brush like that and getting some really gorgeous colours. So I'm going to begin with that, and there's lots of water on the page there, so I can allow those to just dry whilst I talk to you about the green tones we're going to be using. I want to use green gold for this piece. We'll definitely be adding in a bit of sap green later on, but for now, green gold is going to be my colour of choice, nice and light. And I'm going to use the rigger brush mainly. It's a wonderful long, languid bristle. Now what I want to do with this piece is I want to get a sense of the blends and bleeds sort of going right through the piece, so you can see right from the start. I want a real loose watercolour feel to this. So I've just joined up the petals to this green and made sure that I don't overwork it, because you can see how very quickly those blends and bleeds begin to take a hold, and if you were starting to sort of dab that about with your brush, you would start to get lots of murky bleeds and blends. So what I'm going to be doing is going around the wreath with a colour, so putting in 2, possibly 3 petals for that starting point, then taking a little bit of the green gold and just gently joining them up. Now these little curly lines I'm doing, these are very sort of the beautiful sweet pea tendrils that have just these amazing corkscrew curls, and I find the best way of getting the best results with those little tendrils is to have the brush nice and vertical. So let me show you. We'll just get a little stem in there. Okay, so I'm holding the brush really vertically, and then I can wiggle it, spin it round, because those long bristles are actually going to be a little bit tricky and sort of create a bit of drag if you're holding the brush sort of angled downwards like a pen. So I'm just going to carry on going round with the filbert brush, just twisting it down like that, sometimes sort of dropping in a different colour, and the green gold stems and tendrils. So we've gone all the way round, and you can see how as it dries the colour sort of crisps up and floods to the edge of these watery sort of barriers that, by putting a splosh of water down on the page, creates. Now I must say, if you've been putting your petals down nicely, putting in the green, and then being really tempted to just poke at it with the brush, and suddenly your colours are all murky and dark, you've got to try and resist the urge. And if you do manage to resist the urge, then you get these beautiful little glowing bleeds and blends that are just there doing their own thing, and we can just go and have a nice cup of tea on the side and wait for it to dry. So I have waited for it to dry, and now I'm going to get a bit of sap green mixed up into my green gold. So I'm just going to get a slightly different colour. And what I want to do now is go around with my, I've got a size 2 and a size 0 brush here. I want to add in a few leaves here and there. So a sweet pea has smooth-sided leaves that grow in pairs. So that can just be created using the thin point of the brush, squashing it down and pulling it up into a lovely fine point again. If you want a specific tutorial on leaves like this, we've got so many smooth-sided leaf tutorials in the watercolour for beginners playlist, as well as flowers and foliage. So you can go and find those there. So I'm just looking in the gaps, because of course also a wreath is about sort of creating a nice sort of even shape. There we go, so that's rather nice. So the next thing that I'm going to do is get just a little bit more sap green. Oh, I can hear the rain outside. Gosh, it's meant to be summer. What's going on? And now at this point I'm going to add some sepals to sort of where I can. So this is a very similar shape to the leaf that we were just doing, but just a little smaller, and a sepal comes up round the base of a flower, sort of cups it, and we just want to sort of curl them away. And what's nice is this extra little bit of colour just gives a bit more depth to the wreath. And you can see I've not put them everywhere, but it's just where it feels possible. And then the last thing, and I must make sure I've got clean brushes for this, is I want to add just 1 or 2 more petals. So I'm going to take my 1/4 inch 1-stroke brush, and I'm going to pick up some pink and purples one more time, and I want to just create some extra little petals layered up on top of some of these, just like a sweet pea does. And you can see I just sort of twist the brush and create some really lovely shapes. And it's funny, it doesn't seem like a brush with a flat edge like this would do such a lovely petal shape, but it does, and it's fantastic. Okay, so there we have a lovely loose sweet pea wreath, a really good one to try if you are a bit unsure about the whole loose approach to watercolour painting. Certainly taken me a bit of time over the years to just sort of hold back and allow the simpler shapes to depict what I'm trying to show, but sweet peas are perfect for this because they almost look like they grew in loose watercolour in real life. So have a go at that, and we have plenty more of the looser approach to watercolour flower painting in the Flowers and Foliage playlist. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that one. I want to say a huge thank you to my patrons for their support, because that support enables us to keep creating videos like these that everyone can enjoy. And if you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and comment below to let me know how you got on with that one. And of course, if you never want to miss another video, then hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell, and we'll see you again next time. Bye!